Sorry guys, I know I'm a bit late to this one. I did plan on getting this video out the day that the news dropped, but when you've got 3 kids, sometimes things just don't go to plan. You've got dinner time, homework time, story time, bedtime. There's just a lot of times when you got kids, let's just put it that way. Anyway, the long-rumoured Black Panther game from EA has finally been announced, officially. Not to be confused with the Skydance Studios game, which is also starring Black Panther, alongside Captain America during World War II, which as of right now doesn't actually have a title. I know Slight Stardust has some theories on what that title could be, so check out his channel because he might make a video on that in the future. So the Skydance World War II project is spearheaded by Amy Hennig, one of the creators behind the Uncharted franchise, and her words were, if you're familiar with Uncharted, you'll have an idea of what to expect. So probably a semi-linear action-adventure game. And I'm definitely excited to find out more about that. And just before we delve into the information about this new solo Black Panther game, just a reminder to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Don't forget to drop a like or dislike based on how you feel about this video. And without further ado, let's get into it. So like I said, this is a totally separate solo open world project by a new studio called Cliffhanger Games. And they've brought in talent from God of War, Halo, and Shadow of Mordor. This actually marks the second collaboration between publisher EA and Marvel following the announcement of the Unreal 5 open world Iron Man project, which is being made by Motive. And those are the guys behind the Dead Space remake, Star Wars Squadrons, and they also helped out with the space combat in the Battlefront games as well. In terms of official information, all we've got to go on right now is that it's a third-person open world game set in a Wakanda that's described as expansive and reactive on the official blog post, and I will link that in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Now, there have been some rumours going back as far as last year from prominent insider Jeff Grubb, who is pretty much always spot on with his leaks. He confirmed that a Black Panther game was being made by a new studio under EA, which he described as a single-player open-world game led by Monolith's former vice president Kevin Stevens, and all of that information has turned out to be 100% correct. Now, one thing that he said that hasn't been officially confirmed is that players won't actually assume the role of T'Challa, who, as we all know, is the original and most famous version of Black Panther. According to his leaks, the players will create their own character that will assume the mantle of Protector of Wakanda, and this quote from the announcement blog does seem to indicate that that could be what's happening. So it says, "We want our game to enable players to feel what it's like to be worthy of the Black Panther mantle in unique story-driven ways, and we want Cliffhanger Games to empower everyone on our team as we collaborate to bring this amazing world to life." So that terminology of player having the mantle of Black Panther definitely seems to indicate those leaks could be accurate. If it is true, I think it's a pretty bold decision by the developers. I remember when these leaks came out, the fans had mixed opinions, and that's probably putting it lightly. Many people, myself included, voiced concerns that a Black Panther game without T'Challa is not doing the character justice at all. Even Marvel's Avengers, and I really need to stop bringing this game up, but even Marvel's Avengers gave us a pretty awesome version of T'Challa voiced by Christopher Judge, who, if you didn't know, is of course the voice actor of Kratos in God of War. This character is important to people. Even Crystal Dynamics know that, which is why they got a well-known and respected voice actor. What's kind of interesting is that the Skydance game that I talked about earlier is also not going to feature T'Challa. Instead, the mantle is held by Azuri, T'Challa's grandfather, but it's much more forgivable in this scenario because that game being set during World War II, it makes sense for the context and the story. But a full-blown Black Panther solo game, presumably set in the modern day, I just don't think it feels right. You wouldn't have a Batman game where you create your own character rather than play as Bruce Wayne, so I don't see why that's acceptable for T'Challa and Black Panther. It kind of feels to me like Marvel is hesitant to use this character since the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, and while it is awful that we lost him so young, I don't personally think he'd appreciate this treatment of T'Challa as a character as a whole. I could see him wanting T'Challa's stories to continue across other mediums with potentially new audiences being introduced to him. That's just my personal opinion. I just feel T'Challa deserves more respect and he shouldn't be sidelined in favour of some Commander Shepard-esque wannabe player-created Black Panther. And generally, you can tell a much better story with a fully fleshed out character rather than a self-insert. I'm really hoping this information is outdated and Cliffhanger has since abandoned this direction for the game in early development. And if we do end up getting T'Challa in the game, I hope he's voiced by Abu Bakr Salim, the voice behind Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. I've actually met him before at a Comic-Con event and he's a really nice guy, and I think he'd absolutely smash this role.
Is nobody? May the Hidden One greet you. The Lord of the Duat awaits.
With the game being developed by Shadow of Mordor and God of War vets, I can see the combat being inspired by either of those franchises, or maybe even blending elements of both. It would also be interesting to see something like the Nemesis system from the Mordor games, but I think WB Games owns the rights to that specific system, but maybe Cliffhanger could iterate on it somehow to make it different enough to not get sued, basically. So what are you expecting from this game? Would you be okay creating your own Black Panther, or do you want to play as T'Challa? Do you think the combat will resemble the previous games that the developers have worked on? Do you have a preference for one of those combat systems? Let me know in the comments. I always try to respond to any good conversations or questions. As mentioned, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this content. As always, have a great day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one.